Hello, sweet souls. This is DTO in the flow. And it is important to be moving your bodies, being active during this time in the world is really important as you are indoors, quarantined because of COVID 19. And I'm going to bring on a very talented gentleman, Yuri Marmerstein. And he is a professional acrobat based out of Las Vegas who originally came from a self taught background and only started training as an adult. He has performed at the Las Vegas Strip and on Broadway. In addition, he is the author of the ebook Balancing the Equation, a full breakdown of the process of learning how to perform a handstand as an adult. And since he says that, you can look at the picture here. That's quite a phenomenal handstand. Pretty amazing. Over the years, Yuri's trainings have included martial arts, gymnastics, circus arts, capoeira, weightlifting, and dance, among other disciplines. This gives him a unique perspective on how to teach the skills to anyone, regardless of level, age, or background. The last few years, Yuri has been traveling the world, teaching and sharing his knowledge with different communities. All right, let's bring on Yuri. How are you,
Hey,
brother?
hey, not too bad.
Great. Thank you
Good to
for
be
being
on.
here.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
worries.
so we connected on Instagram. I saw all of these extraordinary photos, which I got to pop up. And I was like, wow, you got like a whole other level of training that I would say the average human being hasn't really explored. And more, I feel that movement, exercise, body awareness is really important. So my first question for you is, how did it all begin? You said that you started as an adult to really get into, your body and being like athletic.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, I mean, I wasn't super athletic or anything like that as a child. I played the basic sports, whatever, soccer, basketball, baseball. Wasn't really good at any of them. It doesn't matter. I would say, I guess, towards the end of high school, beginning of college, I just started, I guess, getting the idea to take fitness more seriously. My original inspirations were the old school strongman books. So, books from over 100 years ago that was just, again, like no bullshit, just, stuff that you can do every day to be strong, to be healthy.
Nice.
So I got started from there, and then I got into backyard martial arts like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, all of this kind of stuff, Jean-Claude Van Damme. So just between the old school strongman stuff, which was at that point for me more bodyweight fitness oriented, and then the martial arts stuff, it just grew from there, and I continued, and it's something I kept on with. In college, I got into capoeira, and then I got into gymnastics and cheerleading, and then weightlifting and all this other stuff. So it just kept going. And like you said, it's just about body control, body awareness. I don't think that anything that I do is amazing. I think it's all accessible. Different levels of it are accessible. It just depends on how far you want to go. But the key is that there's no overnight. Like you start now, but you don't start what I do today. It's not for today. The idea is what I start today, it's to continue doing for the next few years. And it's in those few years that I'll actually see the progress. So like you said, everybody's stuck at home right now. So it's a good time we have time now to start learning something. And that doesn't mean that in a couple of days, you're going to make massive progress. In fact, you will, but it's not going to be huge. You're not going to learn your goal in a couple of days, but the idea is to get started. And that's kind of what I try to send is it's about body awareness. It's about more so I'm doing tricks and I'm teaching people to do fancy party tricks, but the tricks themselves, they don't matter. They're just a vehicle towards better body control and better awareness. Like you're not going to be a better person if you can do a handstand, but to some degree you can, because you're learning a lot about a long-term process of development. And even though the handstand itself, it's not going to make you a better person, but putting in the work over months or years to train it to get to a high level, that's a completely different story. So yeah. And I mean, I've changed my perspective a lot over the years as well. And it's good to understand the difference between people training to be a high level professional athlete or people just training for fun, for general health. And it's
Yep.
the stuff that I teach. It's all like, it's funny now, these in-home workouts are getting so popular because that's what everybody has. But I've always been trying to prioritize stuff that you could do at home, that you can do with either no or minimal equipment. And you don't have to be in a gym. There's a lot of stuff and you don't have to be like, lifting your furniture like some of these fitness influencers are showing. There's a lot of things you can do just with your own body to build strength, flexibility, awareness, and yeah, but it's about building habits. And that's another thing I say is it's part of your lifestyle. So yeah, you can go to the gym and do workouts, and that's good, but you also have to be aware of the other things going on in your life, and that has just as big of a implication on your goals as the training itself.
Absolutely. Well, as you're speaking about that, I'm going to roll some footage of what your trainings, what your workouts look like.
Yeah, so this was a workshop I taught in Bali last year at Nirvana Strength. And yeah, we're just doing a bunch of different stuff. We're doing, different strength stuff, different flexibility, some handstands, some body awareness. And, we're doing like these fancy stretches, but the point isn't to do the stretch. The point is to use that to feel more of what's happening in your body. It's like, oftentimes, especially with the Western lifestyle, we lose a certain sensitivity and we lose just this idea of what's actually happening within ourselves. So as I mentioned, it's cool to learn these skills because it's fun. It can be frustrating, but also feels amazing when you do it. But as I said, it's my goal is something deeper than that. It's not to get everyone to do a handstand. It's to get people just more in tune and more aware of what's happening within themselves.
That's powerful. Yeah, I feel that because when I personally got into playing sports and then later on I got into practicing yoga, and then they're talking about breath work and, focusing and then like visualize and things like, when you're in a posture or like scissor your legs together, like that tightness and that, because a lot of times there's muscles in our bodies. Because, if you think about it, everyone that's watching, of course, understands like we're a nervous system, we're a muscular system, we're a skeletal system. There's like so many parts and pieces to who we are as these human organisms, right? Vascular system.
And they change and they make adaptations. Like and I'm reading a book about kind of brain plasticity right now. And it's just interesting how some of these points it's brought in as stuff that I was like saying intuitively for years. And it's just really cool to see that written down about how basically we're a different person every day. And the habits that we do continue changing who we are. So it's like, it's hard to make change because we're rewarded to continue doing what we've already been doing. Yeah, super fascinating.
Truth, right? Yeah. So let me pull up what I was bringing up at the beginning of this interview is how I found you on Instagram here. And just want to scroll through. So anyone out there, I highly encourage you to check out Yuri's Instagram. It's very inspirational. That's how I connected. And you mentioned some martial arts. It looks like some Matt here. Do you have any videos maybe of some martial art training?
This that one. Yeah, that's like a Van Damme split in New Zealand. That was not an easy photo to take. It took about a couple minutes just to climb up there and get into position. So I had my camera set on time lapse, just like every 3 seconds, take a photo.
Because normally the canyon was moving at the same time, just like the Van Damme, like the trucks were moving.
Yeah, of course.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. I think the one before that, it's an Instagram, what do you call it? IG Live. The one past that, to go arrow the other way.
Okay.
Can you? Oh, this is just some handstand training.
Okay.
That one in the middle, yeah, that's gonna be more. I wouldn't call it martial arts. This is just like messing around. That's just like messing around in the living room. So there's some martial arts in there, some capoeira, some like dance style movements. So yeah, so this isn't, I would call it martial arts inspired, but it's just random movements. This is just like I had a strong coffee in the afternoon and then I felt like jumping around in the living room. And luckily my
coffee, I haven't pulled that off.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so it's just playing around and like, yeah, I know my approach to all of it has changed a lot over the years because I used to be more obsessed with like getting higher level skills. And I'm a bit older. I'm still not old by any means, but that's changed it. And then also this idea of the business and traveling. So it's like, right, I used to just train all the time, like, 5-6 hours a day. And then you start to do it for work and then you start to travel and it's difficult to keep up with all of that. So I know like one perspective for me that's really changed is I used to see people who did that kind of fitness thing as a business. And then I would, to some degree, judge them on their like level of skill. And then I realized like, Yeah, you lose it. You lose some of that once you do it for work because it's can't be everywhere at once. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is just basic movements in the living room. I think now I haven't made this video yet, but it's going to be a YouTube video coming up about the home gym setup because now everybody is wishing that they would have invested more into their home
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd like to go through your Instagram a little bit further because I feel like you're possibly wanting to showcase some other playing with water here.
Yeah, that one I'm doing like just some capoeira movements, but it's in the water. So there was a video. If you scroll down, this is just like an iPhone footage, but there's the professional red camera footage of this session. You'd have to scroll down maybe another few weeks worth. We can keep going. There's a photo from there. Keep going.
You're in the gymnastics as well here. Looks.
Yeah, I do some basics. I mean, that's just a basic gymnastics move, but it was good lighting. Yeah. So this one on the left, go up, scroll up one, go on that one. Yeah. So that one I think is gonna be some splashing around. Yeah. So that's with the red camera. That's like the professional. So yeah, a little bit of capoeira, a little bit of kicks within a couple inches of water. So looks fancy, looks cool. I think there's another one of that.
Wow.
There's a better video of this if you keep scrolling. That was like the after effect. So that one's cool on the right. No, that one's just me slapping the water with a stick. I keep scrolling downwards. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Yeah, I put out a lot of stuff on Instagram.
Yeah,
I forget sometimes.
A lot of content. And you got really amazing engagement, like 10,000, 9,000.
Go up. I think scroll up one, and then on the right. Yeah, I think that's the professional red camera. It's either that or it's me slapping the water with a stick. I'm not sure which one.
Either way, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah. This is the one. This is yeah. So my friend basically he's an amazing artist and creator, and he puts together a lot of stuff, a lot of circus apparatuses. And basically, what he did in his backyard is pour concrete to make like a 2-inch pool of water. And then he put some neoprene mats. So it's really slippery to do this stuff on the water. So what he did is put down a couple mats so that you can actually get traction when you land. Otherwise, like before that, I was testing it out. I actually hurt my finger because I slipped and fell on it because it was way too slippery. So he put together these mats so that you could actually do this stuff. And then he got some, video guy with the red camera filming slow motion stuff. So it wasn't just me. It was a lot of circus artists that came in there and did the stuff with the water. So that was a cool, fun project for sure.
Amazing. Yeah, and so one of the things I noticed on your website, which I want to share with everyone right now, is that you're developing, you have an online coaching system. Right?
Yeah, so I have two things. I have a group that is just every month it's a new topic. So it's like exclusive tutorials, and then it's a group for support and feedback. And then I just put out some more online coaching possibilities, obviously, because I don't know what's happening with my workshops now, but I'm going to say there's a good chance that whatever workshops I have planned in the next couple months, I would say there's a very high chance right now that they're not going to happen. And I'm even encouraging people, like, I haven't taken them down because I don't know, maybe magically the ban is going to be lifted and everyone's going to be better, but probably it's not going to happen. So at this point, I would encourage people not to sign up for the workshops, just because if it doesn't happen, I don't want to take someone's money just to refund them. Let's not make the money transfer back and forth. So yeah, we have online coaching options, and I'm still tweaking it. I'm still working on ways to make it better, but we have Skype consults. We have
That's perfect, especially now everyone's at home, Yuri. So,
for sure.
Anyone that's live streaming, watching this right now, or watching it on the archive, to DM Yuri, go to his website, fill out a contact form, because, I think more than ever, movement and I was just on a walk earlier this morning. And I'm actually starting to dig up like old workout gear, like weights that I had, and just like really realizing that we get this opportunity to be indoors. So how are we going to utilize it? Because one of the things, and I'm sure you can speak into this. So I'd like to hear, like, what's the overall premise of Balancing the Equation, your book? Like, what inspired you to write that? And what are some of like the tips or takeaways that you can share with someone?
Oh, for sure. So that was an interesting one. And basically, I was starting to get known for teaching handstands at a certain time, at a certain point, and somebody approached me and said, because at that point there was not any kind of material for learning it. So basically, it was like you had to just flail around, and I learned it by flailing around. But I was very tenacious, and I had a lot of time on my hands. So I spent basically a year falling on my back before I could walk on my hands, and then another couple of years before I could balance. So I started getting into teaching it, and somebody approached me and said, like, hey, you should write a book about the process, because there's just nothing like that out there right now. There's nothing that actually details the process of learning it. Yeah, there's some, the old school strongman books, but they didn't really talk about the process. They just said, like, here's stuff that you can do. Some gymnastics courses, but the problem with people who teach gymnastics is that the kids' learning process is very different. So most adults won't have success following a learning process that was geared for kids, because their brains are wired completely differently with how they learn things. So basically, this dude who initially contacted me ended up backing out of the project, because it took me 3 years to write this thing. And I actually wrote about 4 or 5 drafts that I completely destroyed. Right. I wrote it like 4 times, and I just deleted all of it because I wasn't happy, because to me, it was really important to be clear. So no extra words, no exercises that weren't needed. And then trying to be just very clear with the message of I don't want people to interpret something in a way that could be confusing. So that's something I spent a lot of time focusing on. And basically, it's teaching you from nothing to be able to do a handstand. And it goes into some, what you need to do with your shoulders to align yourself. And we're basically building layers of technique and awareness. So it's like you start out just getting used to loading your wrists and your shoulders, learning how to position your arms, learning how to create the shape. Then we spend time getting used to being upside down, getting used to being on the wall, being okay with falling, because that's something a lot of people don't teach.
Yeah, a lot of people are afraid.
And it's like
there's a recover, right?
Yeah, and there's a psychological restriction. So okay, if you don't need flexible shoulders, but it helps. But that's fairly obvious. Like, you stretch your shoulders more and it's going to get better. But this idea of the psychological restriction, if somebody's afraid to fall, it doesn't matter how strong their shoulders are or how flexible they are. If they're afraid to fall, they're still not going to be able to get up. So there's part of that is the psychological restriction. And then it goes into how to build the actual balance itself, because that's something in a lot of, even now that there's like so many handstand courses out there. And this was written, I think, 5 years ago or more. So like, it was before all these handstand courses. Even now, they still don't really get into the details of how to build the actual sensation of balance. So this idea of balance, you learn it consciously in the beginning, and you're essentially learning to use your hands like you used your feet. But it's important to create the right conditions to be able to understand that sensation within the body. And then we want to do is we want to create this conscious sensation of gripping and moving the weight with the hands, and then do that enough times that it becomes subconscious and that we can do it automatically. And then we learn different layers of balance. Like, if I'm standing, I use my feet to balance, but I can also use my body and my legs to catch myself from falling. So basically, this book goes into the process of learning to actually balance on your hands. And the cover is misleading. Looking back on it now, I probably should have used a different cover, because we're not learning to do a one-arm handstand on this book. It was just a cool photo that I had that I thought would be nice for the cover. But this book is talking only about 2-arm handstands.
Okay, there you go. There's your 2-arm handstand.
Yeah, there we go. I didn't have that photo at the time. That would have been a good photo, but all good, no worries. Yeah, so and I think, honestly, I think when that book came out, it was the first one of its kind where it really went into the details of the actual process. It wasn't just about conditioning exercises. It wasn't just about, do this and try it over and over again. It's like, no, here's a clear process of what you need to do to develop this technique of balance.
Yeah, and I love the title of it. I mean, that's exactly what I feel that a lot of us are seeking, and not only with your body. So, this is, one of my last questions I have for you is, what one thing, and I think I know the answer probably is going to be to do a handstand, but what's the one thing someone could do right now during this time that we're indoors? And, speaking to mainstream America, of course, we're speaking also to people that are athletic, that are possibly, as you and I know, Tammy Firefly, who, performs a Cirque du Soleil. So there's certain people that are like their physiques are way out there, like Olympic athletes, kind of level body like yourself, right? And then there's like the modern American that's like, hey, I want to boost my immunity system. I gotta, like,
Right.
if I get this virus, how am I going to be prepared? Like, what can I do? Maybe a physical activity that you could recommend. I know you do plenty of workshops, and I'm sure you get this question often from people. But like, what kind of advice would you give at this time while we're indoors?
So I'm actually I'm going to give three pieces of advice instead of
Perfect.
one.
More the merrier.
So yeah,
We'll take
so
it.
one of them, and like this is the perfect time for that, is to catch up on sleep. Like most people now, you don't have to wake up to go to work right now, or you're working from home. So
Yeah.
it's like so many people are sleep deprived in terms of general health. Like this is the one thing that you can do that will improve every aspect of your health is just to get better sleep. So now is the time to focus on that because you have less responsibilities.
Hey,
You're
without the
being told
screen
to
for
stay
you.
home. Yeah, so sleep and and it's not going to be like if you're used to not sleeping a lot, it's not a pill you can take magically you sleep more. So you have to take precautions. I wear the red glasses at night. I turn off my lights in the house after it gets dark. I make sure that my bedroom is dark. I make sure it's comfortable. I try not to spend time on my bed unless it's sleeping. So it's a lot of sleep habits and it's going to take time, but now is a great time to start that because again, immunity, all this other stuff, this is the one thing that everybody could do that will 100% improve every aspect of your life and your health. Number two, it's again something you can do more now is just not any particular skill or technique, just move more throughout the day. Like I live with two cats. They're my roommate's cats, but you see they sleep a lot. So already number one, they're doing. And then they don't schedule workouts, but randomly they feel like doing sprints. They get up and they do some stretches. So what they're doing is they're compulsively incorporating this random fitness stuff into their lifestyle. So it's not like I'm going to the gym, I'm doing a workout now. It's like, no, I have energy. It's 3 a.m. I have energy. I'm going to do some sprints across the house. Cool.
That's
so
cool. Let's do it. High legs, go.
Yeah, so it doesn't have to be workouts. Like randomly, you can take 5 minutes and do whatever. It could be handstands, it could be squats, it could be just stretching. Like I'm cooking my food, and in between that, I could do. And it's a good time to start building those habits to do that because you do that for a month, you're going to start getting more regularly, and then without actually training, you're already improving aspects of your fitness because then you build this habit like, okay, I'm in the chair. So I'm going to do just some basic stretches while I'm in the chair. And it's something I no longer have to think about because I've done it to the point that it's a compulsive part of my daily life. And then number three, you guessed it. Handstand is great because it's a physical and mental challenge. Anybody can do it anywhere. Literally anybody can do it. You don't have to be here. As long as you can get your hands above your head, you can start with some basic variations. And yeah, it's a great physical and mental challenge. If you continue, you can literally just train it the rest of your life and still find ways to improve. So guaranteed, like you're not going to stagnate and be like, okay, I'm the best now, I don't have to train. You have to be patient. It takes time, it takes effort, but it's a nice physical challenge. There's a lot of health benefits of inversion, wrist and shoulder strength, and like I said, you don't need all you need is gravity and a floor and wall space. And even if you don't have wall space, it's not that hard to clear out a wall. So it is something that people can do today. And in 10 years, they might still be continuing to do it and improving on it. So definitely it's a really nice, accessible fitness goal that people can start to work on.
I love it. It's like you could be the recommended like handstand a day, right? It's like an apple a day keeps the doctor away kind of thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So I'm going to recap for everyone that's seeing this: sleep, move throughout the day, and then the last tip we get from Yuri is handstands, and you can see, what's possible. And you're actually, when you're upside down, inverted, like your blood flow, your entire body is just activating itself more so than if you were to just be these two-legged creatures walking around all the time.
Yeah, there's huge, and I've been told, I can't confirm it, but I was told by an old landlady who'd never done a handstand in her life, most likely, but she said that because I do handstands, it's going to keep you looking young because you're forcing more blood to your face. I can say that it doesn't grow your hair back, but it might keep you looking young.
Hey,
So
We got the
So
bearded
there's
brothers, so
always,
we're
yeah,
good
yeah,
here.
for sure.
Well, I really appreciate your energy and your presence and your
Yeah, no worries.
inspiration. I know you're really inspiring a lot of people. And your book is available to be downloaded. So if anyone would like to download the book, highly recommended. As you heard it, he had multiple drafts. He just cleared it out and said, hey, here's the best information, straight to the point. And here's the website you can go to, yuri-mar.com.
Yep.
Or as I showed case earlier, you have an entire Instagram. You'd love to DM, fill out the contact form. And the book is only a $15 download. And that's awesome. And if
Yeah,
you,
so it's easily accessible. I would say also check out my YouTube. Just search my name. I'm being more active on it now. But what ends up
yeah,
happening is like a lot of the questions, the common questions that I get on Instagram and all of that are actually answered in YouTube videos. So it's just something to keep in mind because I do answer these questions, and it's a lot of like my YouTube videos are not. I don't do this clickbait stuff. It's all like every video is on a specific topic and gives a lot of information. So I think it's worth for a lot of people to check out. And the good thing is, if you have a specific topic in mind, like my name is not common, so you can just search my name and then the topic. But it's another thing because some of these are on the Instagram live, but not all of them because that's still kind of a new feature for Instagram. So it's also worth checking out. And then I have also a Vimeo channel with paid content. And that's like super in-depth tutorials. So if it's like a 10-minute YouTube video, a Vimeo series on that same topic would be like an hour of content, every piece of information you need. And those aren't expensive. And that's something I'm filming more stuff on right now as well. So it's just other opportunities. And I say the YouTube because this happens all the time. People message me on Instagram and they have a specific question. And then it turns out that question is actually a YouTube video.
Yep. Yeah, you've been creating content for a while. I see a 7-year-old video that talks about.
Yeah, this is, oh man, no beard. Yeah. So that was one of my first like instructional videos. Definitely learned a lot since then.
Nice. Yeah, you can see you're really thorough and awesome. And I saw some exercises that, they're not that challenging. And it looks like a lot of things you're showing, you really don't need to have a whole lot of gear or equipment, right? Like here,
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
just holding a stick, I think, right? Or just a pull.
Yeah,
Earlier,
and not even. Yeah. So I try as much as I can to prioritize because people use that as an excuse, and I do too. Like, oh no, I can't get to the gym. I don't have heavy enough weights. But the reality is, you can do whatever you need to. You can find a way to do it. So I always try to place a priority of something you don't need extra equipment for. Of course, that equipment can help and it can give a lot of advantage, but
yeah.
But don't think that you need like, man, I used to live in a 1-room apartment and I had my desk and my little floor mattress and I still had a pull-up bar in the kitchen and I still had space to do handstands and train. And that was like literally maybe 1 square meter of training space in an apartment that was like, I don't know how many, it was just a studio apartment that was literally just a room, small room, bathroom and kitchen. And even when I lived there, because that was in college and there was a point where the gym closed for a month for winter break, I was still training in my room. I was still doing handstands. I was still doing pull-ups. I was still able to find a way to train. So like,
wow, this is impressive. A one-legged jump.
oh yeah, that's a good movement. And that's something, obviously it's more advanced. I wouldn't recommend starting with that one, but it's something that you can, because people are going to say, oh, I don't have my squat rack. I can't train my legs. Like, no, there's a lot of, you just have to be a little bit creative, but there's always something you can do.
Absolutely. And here's one you're talking about, handstands, pike push-ups, which is a whole.
Yeah, so that's it's a way to build the overhead pressing, and this video is very specific. It's not just the push-up itself, but the idea is about how to do it in a way that simulates the movement pattern of the freestanding handstand push-up. Because a lot of people do the movements, and if you do it just for shoulder strength, it's fine. But if you're doing it as a way to progress to the handstand push-up, it's a bit more complex, and you want to be working the same movement pattern. Otherwise, it's not going to have the same carryover.
Wow. Well, I'm impressed by all the content that you're creating. And as you said, you have a membership-only Vimeo page. You have the downloadable book. And this is a time more than ever that all of us are recognizing that, hey, we get to like create a new way of living our lives. And for those people that recognize like, oh, I bought this home gym equipment, or I have these weights sitting around, or oh yeah, I have a staff over here, or I have these tools that I could possibly utilize. Like that's the thing for our home too. We have like our whole area back here is for our workouts, our yoga. We have the yoga mats, the blocks, the straps. And as I think I told you, I found one of those like circular objects when we were cleaning our backyard yesterday. It like keeps you on balance. You got to like stay on it. So little Jedi tricks like that may
Yeah, for
support you.
sure. And you can be creative and use like a towel. I'm gonna make a video about what to do with a towel. Like,
That's awesome.
and even so, that there was an old system that I used to follow a long time ago, even for so there's a book called Dynamic Strength by Harry Wong, and it's more of a martial arts book, but it's about like strength and conditioning for martial arts. And the whole premise behind the book is to use your own muscle as resistance. So it's like, okay, I want to do a bicep curl, right? Where am I? But I don't have weight. Well, if I just flex my arm as hard as possible and I do the same movement, I'm still getting stimulation. I'm still getting resistance. And if I imagine that I have a heavy weight, like in this brain plasticity book that I'm reading, they found that people who imagine doing strength exercises made 2/3 of the strength gains in a controlled study as people who actually did the strength exercises physically. So like there's a lot of mental connection. There's a lot of stuff you can do, or like this idea of self-resistance. So, okay, I don't have weight to do bicep curl. Why don't I just use my other arm? So I use the tricep of my other arm, and now I can do bicep curls without having any kind of weight. So it's like,
That's
again,
impressive.
you can be as creative as you need to do what you have to do, like, right? And it's that I don't want to go into motivational speeches, but you either find a way or you find an excuse.
Totally. Oh man, that's the thing. And what most people have said to you, Yuri, I'm sure, and including myself, we're all guilty of this. Like, hey, I would do that, but I don't have enough
Yep,
time. So
absolutely.
now that we're all gifted time based on COVID-19 and everyone being quarantined, there's time for us to work on our physique. There's time for us to move our bodies. There's time for us to sleep. There's time for us to do a handstand. Right. So I feel like now we get to reinvent our lives. And anyone out there, I mean, the content that Yuri's creating is really inspirational. This is how we're even on this live streaming interview right now. As I was on Instagram and I was able to, I think it was some hashtag. I'm sure I went down the rabbit hole in Instagram, right? And all of a
Yep.
sudden I was like, "Whoa!" It's like this, I'm impressed, and it really, I've done some handstand workshops that are more like in yoga classrooms, and I have some friends that are really great at handstands. And a good friend, shout out to Maura Rassman. I'm going to have her on this show at some point. We were down in Mexico in this canyon, and she was just like rocking these handstands on a rock on this boulder, and I was just like, mine was blown. I was like, "What? Teach me!" So it was really awesome. So, and I have a good friend Mario that's really good on handstands. And but for you, you're like workshopping. You have content to show people. So, and again, like some of the techniques that you just heard from Yuri, that if you don't have weights, if you can't go to your gym because pretty much all gyms are closed at this point, just grab your hand, just do
Yeah,
some.
it'll be another YouTube video coming up in the next week or so, because
Oh,
I'm trying to
perfect.
figure out, well, I just monetized the channel finally, so I'm trying to be more
Oh,
active on it to see
cool.
how that goes.
Perfect. Well, I highly recommend it for everyone. And again, here's how you can follow Yuri on Instagram, go to his website. And I really wanted to bring you on more than ever because of the virus that's sweeping the world right now and how it's about boosting your overall vitality, right? And to have, as you said, like blood going into all parts of your body, doing a handstand, and then getting your family involved. If you have kids, if you have, friends, family, whoever you're quarantined with, do it where they can have a spotter, or you just do it on your own. It's like
Yeah, we're
whatever you
together.
feel.
Like it's so important, I think, especially now with these parents kids situations, because their parents are home, to set the example, to
Yep.
encourage. Not This is really important for, because I taught kids for many years, not to tell your kids to do it, but to encourage it, to set the example by doing it yourself, because
Mm,
they're going to copy not what you tell them, but what you do. And now it's a great chance for that. And again, you don't have to be
yeah.
good. It doesn't matter the level that you reach, but just by doing it, you're setting the example and building habits for your kids as well to be more active.
Absolutely. And I've been a school teacher for many years, and I always tell people and parents, I say, there's three ways to teach your kids: example, example, example.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here
Thanks
and
for having me.
your energy, your presence, your inspiration. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of your content when you put it out there on YouTube, on Instagram. And yeah, keep on doing what you're doing. And I love how you're, shifting your energy to do more of the online trainings and more online content for people, because more than ever, we really need to stay active. And
For sure.
as you said, move throughout the day, just like your dog or cat would be doing, or your child. Move your body. Awesome. Thank you, Yuri.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for having me.
All right. You're welcome.